NFL Live on your television screen. And what are we talking about today? Well, how about Steve Smith Sr.? Yeah, make sure you watch on Sunday because he is planning for it to be his last game, plus a moment between Cam Newton and a young fan that you do not want to miss. And you know what? If you saw it, stick around and see it again because it is worth it. The holiday giving theme alive and well here on NFL Live with Teddy Bruschi, Antonio Pierce. I'm Jade McCarthy. You know what else is just about alive and well, guys?
What is that?
Playoff football.
About time.
We are so close, just around the corner now. Let's start the NFC. Playoff implications in 5 games going into Week 17. Starting in Tampa, the Bucs, they need to win and get a whole lot of help. After losing at home to the Cardinals last week, Seahawks now need a win at San Francisco and to have the Saints beat the Falcons. As for the Falcons, they control their own destiny for the bye. If they knock off New Orleans, Matt Ryan and company, they will lock up the 2 seed. As for Washington, well, wild card spot, it is theirs with a win over the Giants. Washington in with a win as long as Green Bay and Detroit don't end in a tie. Biggest game Sunday night. Winner of Packers-Lions clinches the NFC North. The loser could very well be left out and watching playoff football at home. So here is a look at that playoff picture. The only thing we know for sure is that the Cowboys have home field advantage throughout. They do not have to leave the state of Texas. The Giants are locked into the 5 seed. And as we mentioned, all eyes, of course, on the last game, Sunday night, with the NFC North title once again up for grabs in Week 17. Let's hear for the Lions quarterback. Here's Matthew Stafford.
Each game, there's always a little wrinkle. I'm sure there will be one, from Green Bay as far as the defense goes. So, go into the game with a game plan, and I'm sure we'll have to adjust like we always do. But they're a talented team, really good front seven, guys in the back end that can turn it over. So, got to work it out for us. You have to, try and create chunk plays in this league. It's the easiest way to score points. You look at drives that have 20-yard plays in them or more, their likelihood of scoring points in those drives are obviously a lot higher. We've done a really nice job this year of, scoring some points maybe without them. Had some really long drives and been, successful at that. But, always looking for opportunities to, try and be aggressive.
All right, let's get more on the matchup, and for that we say hello, welcome to Rob Demovsky. He is covering the Packers for us, joins us from Green Bay. All right, we all remember what Aaron Rodgers said. He made the declaration, let's run the table. That's what we're going to do. What's been the difference since then, Rob?
Well, good afternoon, Jade. First of all, let's start with Rodgers himself. Since the run the table remark, he's been nearly flawless. 11 touchdowns, no interceptions in that 5-game stretch. Add that to the emergence of running back Ty Montgomery, who's finally given them a legitimate threat on the ground. And then there's the connection between Rodgers and Nelson. They were hitting on 81% of their passes in this 5-game stretch. Going back to the first 10 games of the season, Rodgers was barely over 50% to Nelson. After the game Saturday here, when they beat the Vikings, receiver Davante Adams called Rodgers, quote, a prophet for saying they could run the table. And now they're 1 win away, Jade, from doing exactly that.
Yeah, they certainly are. And, timing, it certainly favors them as well because they played Saturday afternoon. And then the Lions, of course, they played Monday night. So prep time, not exactly all the same here. What are the coaches saying about the variation?
Well, it's interesting. Lions coach Jim Caldwell told us on a conference call today here at Lambeau Field that he's not using that as any kind of an excuse. But Golden Tate said that the Lions got home, that he walked into his house at 5 a.m. on Tuesday. Now, with the Packers playing on Saturday at noon local time, you figure the game ends about 3:30. By the time the players get done with their media obligations and get on their way home, they're probably home at 5 o'clock local time on Saturday. Jade, that's 2.5 full days of difference. And Coach Mike McCarthy said that's key for his team because it's going to allow them to get some rest and get healthy. Because if you think about it, they haven't had a break since way back in Week 4 when they had the earliest possible bye.
All right, let's go back. Speaking of, Rob, we thank you for that because the first round between the division foes, it was way back in September when Green Bay had their opener.
Excellent home opener win today. We're excited for our football team.
Snap to Rodgers, quick throw, right side, Dallas man, Davante Adams to the end zone, touchdown!
We start fast, had a good start to the game, scoring touchdowns.
Snap to A-Rod, looking left, pump fake, steps up, scrambles right. Now throws left, end zone, touchdown, Jordy Nelson!
Jordy and I connected, and whenever we're doing that, kind of opens some other things up for the offense.
Rodgers motion starts to his left, snap to A-Rod, lofts right side of the end zone. Jordy over the shoulder, touchdown! Beautiful! Vintage Jordy Nelson from Aaron Rodgers. 34-27, the victory for Green Bay. Now 2-1 in Detroit falls to 1-2.
All right, once again, the NFC North title on the line. Game day, game plan. Yes, it would be particularly critical going into this one, guys. Rob just talked about it. The Packers have flat out been rolling since Aaron Rodgers made that declaration. So what's the key to keep rolling for Green Bay here, Teddy?
Well, the offense is rolling, yes, but that defense is also pulling its weight, especially the last few weeks. Clay Matthews, the shoulder's not going to get better. He's going to be dealing with it the rest of the year and into the playoffs. But the plays that he's making coming off the edge, this is what has to be commonplace against Stafford and against the Lions. The strip sack here, which was a huge play. So Clay Matthews, also Nick Perry on the other side, playing with a broken hand. The club, they're now on the edge together, rushing together on third downs. Are they both beaten and battered? Yes, bad shoulder, broken hand, club, bad shoulder, but you're still coming off the edge and having that presence. That's where the plays are going to have to be made. If you get Aaron Rodgers an extra possession here or there, one per half at least, oh my gosh, the scoring could be abundant. I mean, Jordan Nelson and him, the relationship is there again, but defensively, to continue to win that turnover battle will be critical for him.
That gets kudos from you guys when they're out there playing like that. We certainly know it. Aaron Rodgers, we know, we just heard Rob say it, 11 touchdowns, not a single pick during that 5-game streak. How do the Lions contend with this, AP?
Well, when you got two defensive players on the set, we're going to talk about defense.
Exactly.
So that secondary has to play well. You hope that Darius Slay can play. He has that hamstring injury. You hope that you saw what happened last week. Dez Bryant, the big catches, the chunk yards. And you hear teams talking about it. You heard Aaron Rodgers talking about getting those chunk plays and making the plays down the field. But it's also the key that this secondary, this pass rush now, they cage rush Aaron Rodgers, right? He's not your running quarterback, but when he buys time in the pocket, this happens to you. Jordy Nelson, the plays down the field. You rush 3, you drop 8. He scrambles, he's looking down the field, and for some odd reason, him and that Jordy Nelson connection always takes place. So, and this always happens. It don't matter who you talk about, but if the secondaries don't play well, the pass rush has to be there. They have to affect the throws, the throwing lanes of the quarterback. Keep them in the pocket, make them uncomfortable as possible.
I think you got to stay back in coverage. I mean, because you're going to be confronted with a choice eventually. Is Aaron Rodgers going to run, or am I going to stay back in coverage? Right. I would rather, as a defensive player, let Aaron Rodgers run for a first down, because that's one less throw, 30 to 40 yards down the field. So stay in coverage, let him run for it. Maybe he pulls that calf again.
And when you go against quarterbacks like this, throughout the practice, throughout the week, what you work on is scramble drills. You plaster 2 wide receivers. So as soon as he starts moving around in the pocket or moving around, I'm a defender, Teddy's a wide receiver. You get close to him. You figure out what it is. You don't have your eyes on the quarterback. You find the nearest receiver. That's going to be something you need to work on as well.
It is the 4th straight season the NFC North title has come down to Week 17. The Packers have played in every single one of them. During that time, they've got 2 titles to their names. All right, how about this? 3 NFC East teams in the playoffs. A Washington win come Sunday evening would ensure that. Dallas locked in the top spot. Giants locked in the 5 spot. A second win over the Giants on the season would ensure back-to-back trips for the playoffs for the first time since the early 90s for Washington. Let's hear from them, starting with their head coach, Jay Gruden.
It's the biggest game of the season, obviously, and we got to play our best football. It's Week 17. We should be mentally sound. We should be physically in good shape and ready to roll.
At the end of the day, it could have been anybody. This is our chance to control our own destiny. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. So it could be the Giants, it could be whoever. This is, once again, it's something that we have in control of, is to go out there and get the win and get in the postseason.
And we got to go out there and we got to scrap up and we got to put our best foot forward and go out there and get a win. Impose our will upon the opponent that we play. And that's what we have to do regardless of what happens, or who play or who don't. Who cares? I don't get involved in that. Whoever's going to come on the field, that's who you're going to see.
And Britt McHenry is in Ashburn, Virginia, covering Washington for us. All right, let's talk about health first and foremost. And we just heard Teddy and AP talk about it. Pretty much everybody isn't going to be 100% healthy this time of year. How healthy is this Washington team, Britt?
They're still expecting their main offensive threats. Jordan Reed, Rob Kelly, and Deshaun Jackson were participating in individual drills. I spoke with Jackson, who told me he's still feeling a lot of pain when he swallows around his jaw, but he's expected to play on Sunday. And you kept hearing a lot of the obvious: win and we're in. Players said they don't care about the Packers-Lions outcome, and they don't really care who will be on the field. However, Ricky Jean-Francois said he does expect the starters to be out there, especially Eli Manning. And Josh Norman held court as usual at his locker. And the questions about Odell Beckham Jr. still came at him, even with the playoff chances on the line. And he said the storm has finally settled and that we're just two regular guys playing a regular football game, which I'm sure many people would disagree with. Jade?
Yeah, this is a pretty big one for Washington. Last time 3 NFC East teams made the playoffs, 2007. The Cowboys were the 1 seed, Giants were 5, and Washington 6. Exactly how it could lay out this season. Britt, thank you much. Still ahead here, the big change in Buffalo yesterday. Anthony Lynn at head coach, and what about the change come Sunday at quarterback? We'll hear from him. Plus, resting starters. Now that question sparked quite a reaction from Bill Belichick. You'll hear from the Patriots head coach as we continue on NFL Live. A 15-16 record in Buffalo. Rex Ryan's tenure as the head coach up before his second season concludes there. The Bills parting ways with both Rex and his brother Rob yesterday. Anthony Lynn, who was promoted to the OC gig mid-season by Ryan, now the 3rd interim coach to lead a team this Sunday. He was asked about the decision to bench Tyrod Taylor against the Jets.
No, that was a business decision, and we want to look at the depth of our quarterback position, and we're out of the playoffs. And so we want to see what these other 2 guys can do.
Was it your decision?
It was our decision.
Did it have anything to do with the potential ramifications of Taylor's contract if he got hurt? Seriously hurt? Because we were talking $30 million there.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, I wasn't in that meeting when that decision was made, so I don't know.
Wait a minute. What decision in what room weren't you involved with? I'm unclear about.
I'm not clear about where you're going.
You said I wasn't in the room when that decision was made.
I'm just saying that was not my decision right there.
Which decision?
You're saying to not start Tyrod.
Well, that was not your decision.
That's what you asked me.
Yeah. You said earlier it was our decision, and now you're saying you weren't involved in the decision not to play Tyrod. I'm just asking for clarification.
Like I say, he pulled his hamstring. Next man up. We're moving on.
So it has nothing to do with the $30 million if he gets seriously hurt.
I can't speak for the owner. I can't speak for the GM. They have to speak for themselves.
Well, there you have at least the interim head coach in Buffalo right now.
Okay.
All quiet from everybody else at this point. He is the 9th head coach, including interims, for the Bills since 2000. Buffalo will tie the Dolphins for the most head coaches among AFC East teams during the span. The division just unable to match the consistency, of course, in New England. They have been led by Bill Belichick for the last 17 seasons. Mike Rodak has more from Buffalo.
Thanks, Jade. The Bills announced on Tuesday that GM Doug Whaley will be leading the coaching search after Whaley simply, quote, made recommendations about who should coach the Bills 2 years ago when Rex Ryan was hired. So with Whaley now at the helm, it's unclear which coaches will be interested in working with GM Doug Whaley. They will not have final say over the roster if Whaley keeps final say over the roster. So the Bills could be limiting options like Josh McDaniels and Tom Coughlin, who may make that sort of demand. Whaley and owners Terry and Kim Pagula were not at practice on Wednesday, and they have not spoken to the media, so it's been short on specifics as to how this coaching search will take place. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thank you, Mike, Teddy, AP, Jade, and now Joe Banner, our front office insider, here with us. Let me start with the fact that Doug Whaley is going to be leading that search. What does that do to the search that you already have a particular GM in place?
Well, it limits it. I mean, they said it right, but I actually think it limits it way more than what he just described. Listen, the audience, what we just saw, we see it, the fans see it, all that kind of matters. But the real audience is the prospective head coaches. What are they thinking when they watch this tape? Yeah. The head coach is not deciding who's playing quarterback. The general manager is not explaining anything. Ownership has nothing to do other than a 2-sentence press release. You want to come into a franchise, you feel like it's tight, it's organized well, it's not flying by the seat of its pants, and you're bringing in some partners that you're going to be the head coach with. They're going to help, you all are going to help each other get better. You can't watch what just happened there and feel good about that. There's no way. So I think the search was a challenge anyway. They don't have a quarterback. There's questions about Doug. And now you watch this. The optics are just horrible.
And not even, well, from a player perspective, not just the head coach that's coming in, but potential free agents coming in. And any momentum they had a few years ago when they signed Mario Williams. And then it's like, whoa, all of these. Mario Williams was the #1 defensive free agent on the market, and he chose Buffalo. Yeah. That was eye-opening. It's like, well, maybe they got something going there. From that all the way to now, I think you're back where you started in terms of players looking at Buffalo, you know, fractured communication among management, head coaches in and out. It's just like, I don't know if I want to go there unless they offer a financial package maybe that can't be turned down.
Yeah. You throw some numbers at me, I can't turn down, I'm going there. But if you want to win, what you just saw there is not a winning organization. No disrespect intended, but I didn't see that. You know, when you look at the head coach, you look at that chain of command and you look up and say, where is that information coming from? And if it's unclear, how is that message now being delivered to the team in that locker room? And when you're in the locker room, you understand this. We're having our little cliques and circles and guys are talking. That's not a comfortable feeling when you're not sure which way your organization is going.
What about for a guy who's on the team right now, going into this weekend, to see the now interim head coach and Anthony Lynn up there like that?
You sort of feel, I would say, you feel like an independent contractor.
Every man for themselves.
All I'm going to do is do my job and just do it as best I can. So the next guy coming in, watching this game to see how hard I played, he knows that I'm still playing hard, so I still have a job, and my contract is still applicable and it's still honored. So you feel that's not a way you win football games, because we got to be playing together at the linebacker level. But it's like, well, today, this time I got to make sure I'm okay just for myself and make sure I finish this year strong.
Let's be clear too. The decision to not play Tyrod is a business decision.
All the way.
I think it's justifiable and understandable. But now if you're a player and the organization all the way up to the owner is making a decision that doesn't give you the best chance to win that game, and he's asking you to go out there and risk your health and well-being, you know, what are you thinking about this? Nothing good.
And not often do you hear coaches say, well, what are we playing for? We're out the playoffs. Like, what message are you sending? What's important right now? Is it winning or you're evaluating the preseason, evaluating the spring, not in week 17. You just don't do it then.
So the #1 thing, you're done with that game and you're in the locker room and the head coach is delivering his final speech after you're taking your tape off. You're like, I'm just glad I'm healthy. And then you take them off and you get out of there.
What about for Anthony Lynn? Because his name has been floated out as a potential head coach.
You know, I don't know him. I haven't met him, but I'll tell you something. He's one of the few guys in the league. Because, you know, we're all type A's, high testosterone people. There's one of the few guys in the league that no matter who you ask about him, who actually has worked with him and knows him, has positive things to say. And then he gets put out on a stage like that to make his first national impression, as you say, not only out to the public, but in his locker room and every place else. I mean, I don't know. They got a PR guy there, I assume. Doug, I assume, had a meeting with him beforehand, or they didn't. I don't know how that happens.
Lots of questions in Buffalo. Lots
to
of
fix,
questions.
too. Yes.
In Buffalo. All right, still ahead here as we continue on NFL Live. The quarterback who is the Raiders' future now rests in the hands of what Matt McGloin means to Oakland's postseason chances. And we'll start talking about the AFC. The 6 playoff teams are set. Seeding still up for grabs. Patriots can lock up home field advantage and the top seed with a win down in Miami. Chiefs need to win in San Diego and have the Raiders lose in Denver to clinch the AFC West in a first-round bye. Oakland, on the other hand, wins the West with either a win or a Chiefs loss. The Raiders can be the #1 seed with a win if New England loses down in Miami. And for more on the Raiders and the quarterback who is not going to be out there playing, Adam Kaplan joining us now. So successful surgery. We heard from Derek Carr. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, basically, Jade, the time frame for recovery is still 6 to 8 weeks. In fact, talking to the Raiders yesterday, one source said, hey, you know what? We're not going to put him on injury reserve right now. if we get to the Super Bowl, we'll see if he can be available to us. This source did not say he's definitely not going to be available if they reach the Super Bowl. Now, it would be a long shot, but Derek is going to, as I'm told, is going to start an aggressive rehab. He spent the day in Los Angeles, but the good news is, again, this is a clean break from the fractured fibula. It got repaired, but the problem is you're talking about a broken limb here. You got to get that thing healed up after the surgery. But the good news is it's not several months. You're only talking about as much as 2 months. So this is a good thing. Matt McGloin is the starter. Connor Cook is the backup. I'm told the Raiders did not work out any quarterbacks yesterday, and right now they don't plan to sign any quarterbacks. It's going to be McGloin for as long as they go.
All right. It would be 5.5 weeks from surgery to the Super Bowl in what has been said a 6 to 8 week recovery. So it would certainly be a long shot. Let's hear more from Carr's teammates on the man under center moving forward.
Matt's the same guy. He's a competitor, like I said before. He's a grinder. He's tough, and he's going to go out there and put his best foot forward. And we're all, we're backing him. We all believe in him. He believes in himself, and he can go out there and he can get the job done.
He's always gonna give receivers a chance to make a play, and we'll see. I have full confidence in him. He's gonna do an amazing job. He understands the abilities that his playmakers have, and he has full confidence in those players, having his back.
We're up for the challenge. I know Matt is, and we're not going to change anything. We're going to go out and execute and do what we do.
All right, let's talk more about Matt McGloin. Walked on at Penn State, Raiders signed him as an unrestricted free agent. Question is, how far can the Raiders go with him at quarterback? I think we have some sound effects in here with us.
Sorry.
Woo, jump. What do you think?
I'm gonna be honest. You're replacing.
I'm trying to shake.
That's almost a sound effect that's going on when you ask that question. It's like, but no, again, a good team here with a great player at quarterback, and you replace him with a guy who hasn't played a lot of football lately, never played at a high level like David Carr, who we're talking about at some point MVP type performances. You know what I mean? I just think it's difficult. You're looking at the roster; they got a lot of pieces in place. And to make all that work, because you need a quarterback. You need a guy who's throwing the ball accurate, who got that moxie, who guys like playing for. And I'm not saying that they don't like McCoy, but it's a totally different football player there than David Carr. So how far? Derek Carr.
He's learning from his brother David.
I played with David. That's why I got confused. But, it's totally different when you don't have your guy underneath center throwing the ball, who's been throwing it like he has, like no other quarterback this year in football.
I agree with you 100%.
Welcome back to NFL Live. How about the MVP race? Wide open. Let's run through some of the top candidates. We're going to go alphabetical order here. Tom Brady, 25 touchdown passes, 2 picks. Would be the first winner to miss 4 games in a season. What about Zeke Elliott? Leads the NFL in rushing. If he won, he'd be only the second rookie to take home the award, along with, how about Jim Brown, way back in 1957? His teammate Dak Prescott, also a contender. 13 wins, tied for the most by a rookie quarterback in NFL history. Of course, he said, I got to go for 14. He would be the first rookie quarterback to be named MVP. Aaron Rodgers, he put his name into the conversation with that declaration about running the table during the Packers' 5-game win streak. He'd be the first quarterback to win the award despite losing 6 games in a season. And Matt Ryan has thrown a franchise record 34 touchdown passes this season, leading the Falcons to the NFC South title. He'd be the first player in team history to be named MVP. And we say hello and welcome our insider Jim Trotter. Hanging with us for this segment.
Grown-up segment.
All right, here we go. MVP ballot. We got some choices up here, and hopefully everyone's going to be able to put their initials on there somewhere. Jim, I'm going to start with you. Guests go first around these parts.
All right. Look, all of these candidates are deserving, but if I'm picking one, I am picking Matt Ryan, and here's why. To me, players who do things that have never been accomplished in this league deserve strong consideration. Matt has thrown touchdown passes to 13 different receivers, something no one in the history of this league has done. 2, he's 387 yards from becoming only the 5th player to throw for 5,000 yards in a season. You talked about his 34 touchdown passes. He's in top 3 in every major statistical passing category. So when I look at that and where his team is at this point, I say Matt Ryan.
Teddy, what about you?
You want my non-Brady pick?
I'll go to that one.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go with Le'Veon Bell right here. It's that special that I think he is of a player. I take him over David Johnson. I take him over Ezekiel Elliott. It's just the threat that he is as a receiver also. And defensively Antonio knows this too. Trying to find this guy as a defender throughout the line of scrimmage and then finding the gap and then attacking the gap and then him like disappearing out of the gap because of that lateral movement that he has. He's put up the big numbers. I know he's missed some time this year, but watching him this whole year, he's had a year that's been most special to me.
157 scrimmage yards per game. That is by far the highest in the NFL. Who do you like, AP?
Well, we got a lot of guys. I'm going to go non-Tom Brady as well because that would be my choice. And I'm going to get a lot of slack from the Giant fans. But look, hey, Ezekiel Elliott, what he's been able to do this year as a rookie, we're going to hit over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. But to me, he's had defining moments in the game, i.e. right there against the Steelers, last week against the Lions. Whenever the momentum starts to shift from that offense, here comes Zeke in play a run, a tough run, the energy that he brings to the game. And to me, rookie or not, I think he's the most impressive running back we've seen. Probably since Adrian Peterson as a rookie come on the scene where you say, wow, every time he touches the ball, something good is going to happen for your team. And when you lead the Dallas Cowboys to the record that they have, which is the best in the NFC, maybe best in the NFL after this weekend, you have to talk and give them consideration.
All right, so this was a tough one for me. I went back and forth between Zeke and that non-Brady pick that everybody has mentioned. So I went with the Brady pick that nobody else decided to go with this time around. But if you look at Brady's numbers from last time he won MVP and this time, he has a better completion percentage, a better touchdown to interception ratio, a higher total QBR, and Pro Football Focus, this one's for you, Trot, actually rates him significantly higher than Matt Ryan.
In what?
So I'm going to go Tom Brady as my
In what?
MVP. Overall
rating.
We get it.
See, I have to get the Trot eye roll.
We get it.
I'm not going to go there. But I'll say this. I think Tom Brady's one of the all-time greats, and he's as deserving as anyone. But I'll say this. One name that's not on this list that I think should be up there, and we know why it's not, is David Johnson from the Cardinals. Sure. We talk about players who've never done anything that anyone has done before. 15 consecutive games to start a year with over 100 yards from scrimmage. That man deserves to be up here as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Not at.
See, we agree. We found agreement.
We found agreement.
We're here.
We always do. Jim Trotter, always great to have you here with us. How about the Ravens? Looks like they are not going to have Steve Smith Sr. there with them come next season. He has said that this Sunday will be his last game. Decided not to retire last season, of course, after suffering that torn Achilles. He was asked if he knows his offseason plans. He says he's 89% sure. Here's more.
I'm about 89% sure.
Good number.
Pretty sure I know what I'm going to do. I got great support from my family. My wife supports me whichever way I want to go. My boys want me to still play. Football's giving me more than I probably could give football back, but for 2016, 17 and beyond, it's probably my last game. Man, I played 16 years, 37 years old, 5'9", chip, no chip. At the end of the day, man, it's been a crazy, unbelievable opportunity that I never would have thought I've had. Financially, I've been able, Mr. Richardson and Mr. Bisciotti gave me something that I'll be able to change generationally, be able to provide financially money to take my kids to college, that they don't have to think about, help communities and give and serve in communities and places and experience things that I never really thought of.
He's been one of the top receivers in the game since his rookie season back in 2001. And you talk about the dominant wideouts. Look, no one has more receiving yards than Steve Smith Sr. since he came into the league. Also caught over 1,000 balls to go along with the 81 touchdown catches. Look, he said that football probably gave him more than he ever could have given football. What do you guys think Steve Smith gave football, AP?
Well, I think that toughness, when you talk about 5'9", 185, that's not the measurables that scouts and GMs look for in their wide receivers. Remember, he came in the league as a special teamer, as a return man. I played against him in high school, college, and then the pros. And not more, the biggest compliment you give any football player is how they compete each and every play. And Steve Smith, he didn't back down from a fight. That was at any time in the game. He's going to let you know where he was at by his physical play and by his presence throughout the game. So for me, when you look at these stats, it speaks to that Hall of Fame type ballot at some point.
Absolutely.
But more importantly, here's a guy who's 5'9", who defied all odds, right? Because they told him you weren't big enough, you weren't fast enough, and he proved them wrong.
And Steve Smith didn't win a Super Bowl, but Steve Smith is a champion in my book. I mean, the way that he played, I remember playing against him in the Super Bowl after our 2004 season and how he just dominated us the entire game. The intensity, I mean, if any young players want to watch this is an intense young man, an intense individual, linebacker mentality inside of that helmet. One of the all-time toughest competitors that I have ever seen. All right, playing football for the 13 years that I played and watching it and following it and covering it, the competitor that he is, the intensity that he has, never back down from any challenge, tearing Achilles when you're old. All right, then come back the next year and still find a way to not only come back but ball out the way he did this year. That competitor that he is, I will always respect and always admire.
Was he like that from the get-go?
Day one. Littlest guy on the field. Biggest mouth on the field, but had the biggest heart and competed like no other football player. He's a guy that you really want to play with. To be honest, you hated going against him because of how he was and the talking, but you would want to be his teammate. I wish I had the opportunity to play with a Steve Smith on my team and give him that chip, give him that Super Bowl, because sometimes you're defined by championships. And like what Teddy just hit on, it's what you bring on and off the field. And I think the character about him, what he does off the field, community stuff, giving back, it speaks volumes.
We never talked about him this year like he was losing a step.
No.
I mean, still playing hard. The mentality was still there, still productive. Catch and run, one of the toughest tackles in the
league. Best dressed.
And a comedian.
Check out the style.
Hey, look, this is the guy who's having fun on his way out, right? I think the last 6 or 7 weeks, his press conference has kind of been like this. He's been changing outfits. That's what it's all about, man.
Don't care what anybody thinks. This is what I do. This is how I play. This is who I am. You're going to like me or not. And we all loved it.
That respect.
There you go. I was going to say everyone respected him. That was exactly the word. All right, Steve Smith Sr. Make sure you watch him on Sunday, because if that's your last chance, you don't want to miss it. All right, still ahead, much more right here.
So if I had an NFL Player of the Year MVP, who should I give it to? We got to give it to one person, though.
I think we can share it.
Because y'all going to split the votes.
Up next, Keyshawn Johnson's candid conversation with 2 of the league's brightest young stars. Talking Cowboys. Dak and Zeke and Dak, the two just seem to go together on the field and off. We clicked immediately, Dak said a few months back. Roomies on road trips, dinner buddies, good for poking a little bit of fun at each other too, and undoubtedly good for the Cowboys. We introduced a third person to the equation just to play moderator. Here's Dak, Zeke, and Keyshawn.
What's happening, man? All right, that's good. What's up, baby? So if I had a Rookie of the Year vote, which one should I give it to?
Definitely this guy.
We got to give it to one person, though.
I think we can share it.
Because y'all going to split the votes. So if I had an NFL Player of the Year MVP, who should I give it to?
I'm giving it to him. He makes my game easier. I mean, he opens up the passing game. They worry about him so much and the looks. I mean, you see him out there.
No, I see him out there. I see you out there, too, though.
I'm taking Dak. His job's way harder. He got to control this whole offense. I don't even know half of the stuff he does. I'm back there asking him all type of questions. He got to answer my questions and tell them what they doing, tell the linemen what they doing. I mean,
in this situation that y'all are in right now, how much pressure is that on you?
It's not any pressure to me. We take it one game at a time, and I know everybody likes to say that, but I think we truly do in this locker room. We want to win. We want to win every game. We want to win this one. We want to win that last one. That's just the competitors we are. You guys call it pressure. We just call it life, call it reality. You know what I mean? And we wouldn't have it any other way. So we love it.
Damn, he just put me in the media. You hear that? He just said, "You guys, man, I played too."
A compression fracture in Romo's back will keep him out for 6 to 10 weeks.
Guys get hurt, and what that creates is an opportunity for somebody else.
What was your initial feelings when Jason Garrett said you the starter? What did you feel?
Take advantage of my opportunity. I mean, I wanted to play. Never wish that somebody gets hurt or wish that I come in the circumstances. It's unfortunate, but as crazy as it is, it's the same way I've played at every level. Guy got hurt in high school, guy got hurt in college, ended up the same way. So don't ask why. Just take the opportunity and run with it.
How has Tony Romo helped you through this entire process since taking over for him?
Yeah, he's helped me a lot on and off the field. How to deal with things off the field, new people trying to come into my life, and on the field. I mean,
That's gonna always happen, man.
Exactly. But the looks I see in the game, he's helping me out, always giving me positive feedback. Things he's done in the past in certain situations. He's been great, a lot of benefit.
Also have an opportunity to see Tony on the sideline. Do you say things to him during the course of the game?
There are certain things I can come to Tony about. A lot of it just protection-wise, just because Tony's been in this system for 14 years, so he knows the protection in and out. And so when I see certain protections that confuse me, or certain mic calls, or how to anticipate a certain look, I can go to him for that.
So Zeke, the jester, first downs. Every time you get the first down, instead of giving the signal, you give him the eat. Where did that come from? Carlos Hyde was running back before me at Ohio State, and that's something he did when he played. So I think I continued it the year after he left at Ohio State. Now just how we told the OC that, we hot, we feed us. So I just continue. You like that, right?
Froze.
Yeah. And they're going to give it to Elliott coming left. There's a big hole from Leary and Smith, and Elliott walks the dog and jumps into the Salvation Army red kettle.
What was your reaction to him jumping in the Salvation Army bucket?
I told him he's crazy. I was just laughing the whole time.
Did you know if anything was inside of there, or you didn't even?
Oh yeah, I checked it out before the game.
Oh, okay.
Make sure he definitely scouted out. He asked me pre-game, should he do it? And will they find me? I'm like, no,
yeah, they find him, all right. Right? Didn't they find you? No, they didn't find you. Do you realize the magnitude that the Dallas Cowboys have across the sports spectrum in general, and what that means and how that feels for you guys?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I grew up a Dallas Cowboy fan. So just to know how much.
I love that, though. Everybody that play for the Cowboys, the first thing they say is, I grew up a Cowboy fan.
Yeah, so being 3 hours from here, just knowing how everybody loves Dallas. Everybody wants to play for the Cowboys. But as you said, you could say Mississippi State, but we had some success when I was there. I think that immediate whirlwind of success they had prepared me for the success here. I thought coming from Ohio State, you can't really get much bigger than that.
It's pretty big, man.
Once I got here, I realized very, very soon, very quickly that it does.
When you talk about the Dallas Cowboys in the big stage, you talk about Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, obviously, and a host of other great Cowboys that have come through here. Right now, based on where you guys are headed in your careers, your names could potentially be there at the end of your career with those guys. Is that anything that's ever crossed your mind since this young season?
One, to live up to those expectations, I guess, or fill in those shoes, I guess you could say. Yeah, we want to be great. We want to be the new triplets. We want to be the Cowboys of the 90s, winning Super Bowls and doing all that. But I think we gotta just stay focused, take it one game at a time, 1 year at a time, and that's a long time away for we're talking at the end of our careers.
Now you look at what they've done as a tandem this season. Dak's thrown 23 touchdowns, 4 picks, and Zeke leads the NFL in rushing, ranks third with 15 rushing touchdowns. Cowboys' first team in NFL history to have a rookie quarterback throw for 20 scores and a rookie running back with 15 touchdown runs. One of them could be the MVP. How about last year's MVP? Cam still spreading some joy this holiday season. Special stop for a special fan. Don't miss it. It's next. Broncos, of course, officially eliminated this Sunday. Won't just be Trevor Siemian out there against the Raiders. He will get the start. But the rookie, Paxton Lynch, he will see some time as well. Gary Kubiak also saying he'll consider playing some other young players depending on the injury situation for Denver going into the week. All right, this was a moment. I think we've been excited to see this and share this for the entire show. 10-year-old Austin Decker suffers from advanced pulmonary hypertension, had a procedure at an Atlanta hospital today. Big Auburn fan, and here's yesterday.
What's going on, buddy? How you doing? You doing all right? What's up? You doing good? I feel your heart, man. You're going up 1,000 miles per hour, man. You doing all right? Nice to see you, man. Oh, man.
Yep.
What a moment, right?
More stories like that. More. Feed us more of that. It's
nice.
Nice job, Kim.
Never have enough of them. Austin, best of luck to you. See you later.